NSFW. People of Reddit who have had sex with an in-law or step-sibling or parent. What happened? How did you get into that situation and did anyone find out? I did the deed with my mother-in-law once. It still makes me feel dirty when I think about it. I was separated from my wife at the time, in the process of divorcing, and went to my mother-in-law's house to help her with moving some furniture. We ended up sitting around after I helped and had a few cocktails and talked about my separation to her daughter. Fast forward to midnight and 6 drinks later and all of a sudden I'm looking at her with her jeans to her ankles and bent over the kitchen table. I swear to this day I really don't know who made the first move or how it got to that point. It was crazy. The next day she calls me and plays the whole "I had so much to drink I don't even remember last night" card. I get it. I know it was her way of pretending like it never happened and I was perfectly okay with doing just that. I saw her numerous times after that and neither of us acted strange. We just erased it and acted like nothing ever happened. At the time I was about 30 and my mother-in-law was about 50. I've never told anyone until now. Edit, added until now. My dad had started dating following a messy divorce and, after being very con about his activities for a few months, decided to introduce me to his girlfriend's family. We all traveled to a relative's country house and had a big party. The wine flowed pretty liberally. Eventually it was just me and the new girlfriend's daughter who remained. We'd been getting on pretty well all night. And we were both quite drunk at this point. I stood, deciding I'd had enough fun for one night, and kissed her goodnight. One thing led to another, and we slept together. This kept up for a few months. I'm not sure if dad ever grasped why I was always so excited to visit his girlfriend's place. But I was there in a flash if the invitation was offered. Fast forward 6 or 7 years. And dad married his partner. I was a groomsman. Now I have never banged my sister in games of never have I ever. Don't regret it at all. We were in our teens and we're actually good friends now. Edit, holy it. I know this all sounds a lot like the plot of a certain type of video found online. But I suppose miracles can still happen. One Christmas my uncle brought my future aunt-in-law over to meet everyone. I was 12 and she had big boobs. Like, stupidly big boobs. I got binoculars as a gift as part of a kid's spy kit. I thought I was being so clever pretending to look around the room with them just so I could stealthily, she was sitting 10 feet away, get a full zoomed in image of those lovely jubblies. I did this for like 30 minutes. In high school one of my close friends lost her virginity to her mid-30s stepbrother and began a relationship with him. They didn't grow up together. I always felt like he was a bit sleazy and that he groomed her. We were about 16. The thing is, they are still together. 15 years later. With a kid and everything. It really tore their family apart for a while though. I know someone who got pregnant from a guy and then later married him. No problems yet. Then, though, the girl's mom and the guy's dad got together and had their own kid. So now the original couple has a brother together. The baby has a sister and brother married to each other. But they were married before any of the weird had happened. Briefly, during high school, my girlfriend's parents were on the rocks. The mom was sleeping with another guy. And the family was in rough shape. So the dad's response was to go after my single mom. Next thing you know, my girlfriend's dad is having an affair with my mom, while the girlfriend's mom is having an affair with an old flame. They're going on double dates together and the girlfriend and I are suddenly unofficial step-siblings. And yes, it was awkward. Even though it really had nothing to do with us. Thankfully, it didn't last long, maybe a month. Her mom and dad reconciled and things went back to normal. There was one night they all came over to my mom's apartment with wine. We all drank. The mom and her fling went to a hotel. My mom and the dad went to bed. And then the girlfriend and I went to bed. That was weird. Does that count? Lol. Edit, RIP my inbox. Holy crap this blew up. Lol. Trying to keep up with all the responses. Glad my most upvoted comment is just a hair short of a Roll Tide. I had sex with my brother-in-law. And my family do know but pretend not to. My sister was married for a short time to a guy who worked and lived abroad most of the year. I never particularly liked the man. I think he wanted to be married to an attractive younger woman who would pretty much do what he say. Also, it was crazy because he was away 8 months of the year. My sister was young, ducking stupid in a lot of ways, didn't really get on with his friends and family, and generally felt like she'd been abandoned. Anyway, my sister, rather than live at his home when he was away, would move back in with my parents. He gave my sister access to a certain amount of money and much hilarity ensued. So I was in my first year of university, and he found out that my sister had been cheating with him. Not only that, she'd done it with several people he knew. And he was not surprisingly angry. My parents, being idiots, decided to hire a lawyer who made things worse. And then the issue over what was happening with the money came up. So I came home from university and my family were about to be put out of their home. Also, I should mention he'd paid for some of my university expenses. I'm making this way too complicated. But essentially I ended up having sex with him in return for him calming down and letting my sister and family climb out of the financial hole they were in. The sex was pretty weird, and he enjoyed ducking me in my sister's bed way more than he should have. In the end though, he got out of my family's life and that was the end of it. I went to high school with these two girls who had been best friends for most of their lives. In 11th grade, one of the girls started sleeping with the other girl's dad, older dad too. Not a young dad if that matters to you, and then began a relationship with him. Since she was 16, it was technically legal there. It was mortifying for the daughter because it was a small town and everyone knew. It tore the family and their friendship apart. It was awful to witness. I know it's not exactly what the OP asked for, but the question made me think of it. My brother and stepsister had sex. They are both married and have children, and there is nothing weird between them. The weird thing is that my dad and stepmom encouraged it. They wanted them to be together and get married. My stepmom will occasionally bring it up when she has been drinking, like she still kind of wishes it had happened. At the wedding of my sister and my brother-in-law, I slept with his sister. It makes for some awkward family gatherings, which I make worse by calling her sis edit. Not sure if I'm ashamed or proud of my highest rated comment. Proud, it's proud. Hi Emma. My comments on the app have been going weird, sorry if there's out of place replies. This happened to an ex-friend of mine in high school. The day I met her in math class, she kept bragging that she had an older boyfriend who drove a BMW. Turns out that older boyfriend was her stepbrother and nobody knew. Not even their parents. Although I think they suspected. Especially when the stepfather found a condom in the brother's room one time after a weekend away. She even got pregnant by this moron and had an abortion. All in secret. Oh. Did I mention she was a freshman in high school when all this went down? Nothing has ever happened, but have had some incredibly vivid and hot dreams about both my brother-in-law and father-in-law. Bent over a table, kind of hot. Husband thought it was pretty funny, but he had a dream about my sister wearing thigh-high leather boots, so I guess we're sort of even. My college roommate worked at a supermarket. He was banging the married manager of his department for a few months. He then started banging a girl in his class and then started dating. He broke it off with the manager. At some point he and I went clubbing, and on the way home he got pulled over for a DUI check. He was sober and gave the cop a hard time being a dick. Long story short, he went to dinner with his girlfriend to meet her parents. Her mom was the manager. Her dad was the cop. I know they broke up soon after. 20 years later and we still joke about it when we get together. When I was in high school I had a crush on this chick. We were 16 and 18, who went to one of the schools near me. A few years later, 19 and 21, her uncle started dating my mom. They got married. And this girl basically became my cousin. I still had feelings, but it could never work. Anyways. Skip forward a few more years later, we're now 25 and 27, and I was at her place for her 25th birthday. We both got ridiculously drunk. I passed out in her laundry room on a spare mattress. Woke up at like 4 AM and came out to her room. It was in the basement. Laundry room was adjacent. She woke up as I was looking for my sweater to head home. She told me not to go. She wanted me to stay. Wanted me to get in bed with her. I did. We cuddled a little. And I got a little handsy. She started kissing me. We made out for butt. I got most of her clothes off. We didn't have sex. Just made out and touched and held each other for a bit. Nothing ever happened since, and she has a boyfriend now. And I try not to talk to her too often because I still have strong feelings for her. I just don't want to get in the way or complicate things for her. She's happy with her new guy and that's enough for me.